With the NBA draft a little under 2 weeks away, teams are running out of time to scout potential NBA players and will soon feel the pressure of making their picks. But not me. Like Marvel Comics legend Captain America often says, I can do this all day. That said, a prospect who isn't getting a whole lot of love but definitely looks the part of a glue guy at the NBA level is Colorado State's David Roddy. The 6'5" Minneapolis, Minnesota native can do a bit of everything on the court and is honestly one of the more unique prospects in this year's draft in my opinion. He has all the tools to be successful at the next level, but also has areas in which he needs to improve. Let's start things off by taking a look at his strengths. First off, Roddy is a heck of a playmaker for a man his size. Listed at 6'5" and about 255 pounds, he is able to see the court in ways that other dudes just don't due to his experience as a star quarterback back in high school. The way he analyzes the defense and is able to hit his teammates utilizing an array of bounce, chest, and over-the-head passes is very impressive. He appears to be at his best when he's in transition, or rather running the floor, and whenever CSU gave him the ball in the elbow area. He can legitimately beat you off the dribble and kick it out to an open shooter, and his ability to get the ball to the open man while on the move is a sight to behold. Roddy often drew double teams when entering the painted area, and that was when his processing skills were on full display, as he typically had a great feel for where the defense would leave a man open and hit them right on time. Now on a personal level, I would be at least a little upset that my teammates weren't hitting a lot of these room service deliveries he was sending their way. As you know.c, he gave his team many good looks that they didn't complete. That's a big reason why he finished the season with just 2.9 assists per game. That average would have been a great deal higher had they knocked down more of their opportunities he created. Next up is literally his body itself. Again, Roddy is listed at about 6'5", 255 pounds, and you just aren't likely to see many guards at the next level built like this. Physically, he reminds me a bit of Jayshawn Tate, maybe even Grant Williams. He uses his frame very well, as he can typically tank his way through on drives to the rim, and as a result, he is able to draw a ton of contact, which often resulted in foul calls going his way. He attempted 4.9 freebies per game this past season and completed 69.1% from the charity stripe. And while you would want to see him increase his efficiency there, it is highly encouraging that he can get some extra offense this way. Now, aside from his offensive production, Roddy uses his body to his advantage to snag boards. He is willing to do the dirty work inside and excels at gaining inside position on rebounds, and can high point the basketball once it careens off the rim like a wide receiver would. He pulled down 7.5 rebounds per game this season, and that's a pretty awesome feat for a guard his size. He could be a matchup nightmare in this regard for opposing guards at the next level, because he will have to be accounted for on the glass, or he might end up creating extra possessions for whatever team selects him. Next, we need to talk about his burgeoning three-point marksmanship. And look, if you were strictly examining his career percentage from outside the arc, you would likely be turned off about his potential to become a threat from range. But the thing is, that number is mighty deceiving. Roddy has worked his ass off in this area, and as a result has become more efficient each season and has morphed into a legitimate threat in this area. This season, his best, he completed 43.8% of his three-point attempts, and when you take into account where he started, this becomes all the more impressive and speaks to his willingness to improve an area of his game. This alone can make him a viable option to play from day one if given the opportunity. Teams should definitely be intrigued about this part of his game, and it's not just the fact that he is a more than capable shooter, it's also about how he manages to do so. He's a spot-up threat as well as a threat to come off screens and dribble handoffs for threes. There's the possibility for movement shooting to be a big part of the equation in regards to this part of his game as well. In terms of a reliable go-to move, it's hard to not notice his preference for the turnaround fadeaway jumper after backing down an opponent. He also has a buttery smooth finish when performing a spin move in the post or on the wings to create additional space. His feet are a lot more nimble than you'd think. And while his first step isn't elite, it is surprisingly quick, and he can use it to blow by defenders to get to the rim. Alrighty, now let's look at what Roddy must improve upon to take his game to the next level. First off, you would think for a man who was able to create the way that Roddy does, they would have a better handle. It's quite telling that a fair share of his 2.3 turnovers per game came when attempting to drive to the basket and losing his dribble. He is an effective finisher around the rim, but he must work on actually getting there with the ball in his hands to be a true threat when handling the rock. He may not even be asked to initiate offense at the NBA level, but even if he isn't, getting this sorted out would be big time for him. Next is his hesitation to shoot at times. Now on the surface, that 3-point percentage for this season that we talked about earlier is great, but when you look at the overall attempts, you do have to wonder what his percentage would have looked like if he had a slightly higher volume. There were definitely opportunities for him this past season to take more triples, but he's reluctant to do so. And after watching Isaac Okoro showcase some of the same tendencies, I'm sure the Cavs will want to nip that in the bud immediately. He will likely need to increase his volume at the next level in order to become an everyday type of player. Roddy just needs to let it rip at times and he should be just fine. This is an entirely correctable issue in my opinion. And last but certainly not least is what his actual position in the NBA would be. Is he an undersized 4, a small ball 5, a 3? Well, the answer may honestly depend upon where he lands. We certainly have seen undersized bigs play crucial roles on championship contending teams in recent years. Take Draymond Green or PJ Tucker for instance. These guys are impacting the game in ways that can't always be quantified statistically. A team like the Cavs could certainly use his brute strength at the 2 or 3 position as a potential mismatch inside. And if they wanted him to operate as sort of a small ball 4 in lineups where Evan Mobley or Kevin Love plays center, his ability to space the floor could present potential problems for the opposition because he is capable of spacing the floor and drawing defenders outside the paint. But the real question, I would think, would be how he would function defensively. Can he defend in space at the NBA level? His size helps him in various ways when defending the interior or the post, but it can slow him down as a potential one-on-one defender. If he slims down a tad bit, I could honestly see him playing good minutes at the small forward position, something the Cavs truly need. Now at the end of the day, David Roddy is a physical specimen that embodies hard work and hustle, and a guy who plays a hell of a lot taller than he actually is. He'll always try and make the right play and set his teammates up for good opportunities and can rebound with the best of them. And right now, most mock drafts have Roddy going in the mid to late second round. The Cavs, in turn, are currently equipped with 2 seconds, the 39th and 58th picks. Depending upon how the first round goes, Roddy could be in play for them at either of those spots, and I wouldn't mind taking a flyer on a player with upside like him. Hell, a post-draft lottery mock from Bleacher Report had the Cavs selecting him at 39th overall, so we'll see what happens.